what's up guys? Eager NShadow here. First of all, I'd like to welcome you guys all to my YouTube channel. I just recently started growing it from a lot of people were asking for like more analytical insight on Joust, matchups, specifics of gods, builds, things like that. And you know, I found it very difficult to just like write up guides on characters because it's obviously, you know, Joust is very situational. It's all about counter building, counter playing, things like that. So I figured I'd just upload content to here and explain to the best of my ability, you know, my decision making, what I think of the matchup that I'm playing, things like that. And with that, you know, a lot of insight that I gathered, I decided to put into a tier list. I started doing that like maybe 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, oh my god, 3 patches ago. Yeah, I think this is the third or fourth tier list that I've put out now. But this is the first one that I decided to do a YouTube video introducing. So I wanted to let you guys see what the tier list is here. Of course, this will be posted on Eager's site as well. And alright, so let's quickly go over it. I'm just gonna go over like the major changes and maybe like highlight some of the top gods right now. So we have Vulcan still in S+, right? Poseidon still in S+, both very strong gods, very strong mages, two of the only mages that can really combat the ADCs because of their sustain and because of their kiting potential. Poseidon, a lot comes from his early burst, is a lot different from the Vulcan pick. While they're both similar in that they have fantastic late games, Poseidon really has the potential to carry and snowball through the early game, based on if you can, you know, get an early Kraken kill in. It's all about, you know, forcing people's Aegises early and making them susceptible to early kills. So the newest addition to S+, I'd say, is Amusin Cobb, with the recent change to his passive, allowing a disarm. In Conquest, you might not see that big of a shift for AMC based on this change, but for Joust, I think it's definitely pretty significant, especially in Hunter duels, because assuming he can land you know, the correct amount of basic attacks to stack up that passive and apply the disarm, which, you know, of course at a top level he should be, it's pretty crippling for an enemy hunter to be disarmed. You know, you can't really build beads against an AMC because there's really no reason to have it. Otherwise, you need Shield the Underworld and Sprint to make a matchup even in the ADC you know, playing field. And that is just, you know, a very significant tool. He was already a very strong god, probably on the border of S and S+, and now I think he has you know, with that, really solidified an S+ standing. Not that many gods beat him, although Poseidon probably, out of that category, one of the gods that gives him the most trouble. Poseidon and Hades, I'd say. Other than that, I'd say Hou Yi is incredible. One of the most underrated gods in general. I think he's going to make a significant rise in Conquest as well because he's an amazing teamfight god, but in Joust specifically, I think that he beats almost every hunter in the head-to-head. Although maybe AMC would be able to beat him. One of the strong suits of Hou Yi, of course, is that you can't build crit against him because of his passive. You know, he kind of negates that crit. But what really solidified him as S+ for me this time was the change to his jump, which it just amplified his potential so much. He can now jump instantly. And completely unpredictably. You know, it's kind of like Sun Wukong's ultimate, the landing from it. No, you know, he's no longer just floating in the air, and he doesn't have a predictable pattern anymore of path. So I think that really changes a lot for Hou Yi in general. And like I said, I think with his mark, his 2, applying, you know, the percent base damage, is so strong in a hunter duel as well as against anyone that's building tanky. So he can take down those targets like Vulcan, Poseidon that'll try to kite him by building a lot of health. So yeah, he's an excellent counter to that sort of Joust meta that's going on right now, building into a lot of health. Because Chins isn't really viable, he has an inbuilt Chins basically, and that's very strong. other than that, let's see. In the OP tier, we still have Hell and Kronos, of course. Both guys I think are extremely dominant in the meta right now. Just way too strong for to be allowed through any game. Basically, you want to ban out Kronos and Hell every single game that you get the chance. Hopefully, Mr. Hi-Rez will listen to us and will give us more bans in the future, so that it's not just Kronos and Hell that you you know, always have to get banned, and you don't really have any preference bans, assuming your opponent doesn't ban Kronos or Hell, either because they don't know or because they're trying to pick one of them. Then it's kind of limiting for a game mode for you to only be able to ban two gods, and it's like gods that you have to ban. You know, there shouldn't really be necessary bans in any game, but of course, we can't balance around Joust. That's just the way it goes, and we have to accept that. But if we do add more bans to the game mode, I do think it would make it a little bit more competitive by allowing some more preference bans and bans based on your picks in general. So let's see, what else has changed? Bellona, I've notably put in S from S+. I don't think that Bellona is as dominant as she was, or, you know, nothing really changed for her that that inspired this change. It's more of just a change based on matchups in Joust. More and more mages have shown that they can beat Bellona, and that just really cripples her. You know, mages are so strong in Joust right now. Hebo, even Isis, Poseidon, Vulcan, Hades, these are all very big counters to Bellona. And of course the Hell and Kronos, which hopefully you never see, but yeah, they're all very good counters to Bellona. And then there's even like Uller now with his change on his passive. He you know, he breaks the disarm every time he changes, every time he switches his stance. And yeah, so matchup-wise, I don't think I can justify putting this character in S+, even though she does really destroy any other physical for the most part. She can't be put in S+ because she doesn't have enough positive matchups. Picking Bellona, you can't ban out every mage, so you're you know, you're kind of forcing yourself to hope for the physical god, and there are even some physicals that beat her. AMC, most notably, can just through his pure burst damage and hive placement, kiting potential, things like that, can beat her. Most of the other hunters, I'd say no, but Uller, of course, like we said, with that disarm breaking stance change, probably has a pretty good matchup against her right now. And yeah, basically you have to hope for a physical that she beats, or she's a bust. So there goes Bellona down to S. Still a viable pick, but you're gonna have to pray that they're not picking Hades, Vulcan, Hebo, Poseidon, etc. So that's a pretty significant change, and I think it was an oversight on my part at first to put her straight into S+. It was probably a little bit of bias based on the fact that I play hunters a lot, and I could not deal with that fucking god. I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't. So yeah, that's, you know, something that I looked over a lot to make sure that I countered. So let's see. Other than that, I think some of the big changes this time around. Let's see. Aphrodite, I moved down from S to A. I think this is a very necessary change. She has been very weak lately. The strong thing about Aphrodite is that she does really well against like Vulcan, and Vulcan is, you know, such a highly valued god right now. But in general, even the Poseidon matchup, which is supposed to go in her favor, late game Poseidon built auto attack, can beat her, so it's not really very reliable. You know, she doesn't have that many strong matchups. While she has a few niche matchups, like the Vulcan pick, and she beats Bellona, she can also, what else can she do? That's the thing. Like, the more I look at this list, the main problem is that ADCs are so huge right now. 3 of them in S+. let's see, one, two, two of them in S, and then mostly the rest in A. She is just so hard countered by ADCs because their damage output is so much more than she can sustain. You know, she can't look to kite in the fight that much, while they can just sprint and run her down with autos. Especially if they go like Brawler's Beat Stick or a weakening, something that will just prevent her healing. She's not going to be able to output enough damage onto the Hunter compared to what they can output, or heal herself up compared to how much damage they're dealing to her. So it's a really hard counter, and you have to outplay your opponent like pretty significantly to win against an ADC as Afro. So for that reason, I think that she deserves to be an A right now instead of S. Let's see. Other than that, Thor, we've been seeing a lot more Thor lately, so I definitely think that this god has more potential than it seems. You know, he unlike, I like to compare Thor to Tyr in Joust, because Tyr is a god that you would think would be a lot stronger, but he's so easily countered by things like beads and magi's that he's just such an unreliable pick right now. In Conquest, you know, Tyr is so strong because you can't itemize solely based on Tyr. Even if you're fighting the Tyr in the solo lane, you have to take into account, you know, the entire other team. But in Joust, you can just itemize Magi's, you can go beads, and you can just, and there's nothing else to take off your Magi's other than the Tyr, you know? You're only itemizing for the Tyr, and since he's kind of like such a one-trick pony, you really lose out on the Tyr pick. So yeah. Let's see. Other than that, whoops. You're not missing anything here with my webcam covering. Sorry about that. It's just there's Nox and there's Rada in the new column over here. With the Nox rework, we're gonna have to see. You know, it's a pretty big change for her. You know, pretty drastic change. I don't see her being that strong in Joust right now. I don't even know if I see her being that strong in Conquest, but especially, you know, with the dash being such a team fight oriented ability that you go inside your allies, and in Joust obviously not having any allies, I feel like you would probably miss out on a lot of that god's potential in Joust. So I don't expect her to be that strong. Ratatasker, on the other hand, I don't know, man. That god seems pretty ridiculous right now, but we'll see going forward. Other than that, though, I think I covered most of the changes. Osiris, I think I actually raised the tier. I think he was in B before, but I think he kind of outclasses the rest of the gods in B. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with the Vamana, mostly because of Mextex. Mextex is a phenomenal player, and I think that's why people kind of overvalue the Vamana a lot, because he makes it look so strong, you know? Like, people have done that with Anubis too, made Anubis look amazing, but it doesn't mean that Anubis is good. So the main problem with Vamana is that he gets countered by almost every magical, the same way that Bellona does, but he also loses to the ADCs in general. You know, there might be some that he can beat out of the lower tier ADCs, but in general he just can't put up with their damage output. The more it goes towards late game, the more it goes in their favor. I think it's in their favor throughout the entirety of the matchup, honestly, unless he starts like a pot, in which case the ADC just has to be careful in the beginning. But I believe if the ADC builds correctly, like one defensive item, all pen, attack speed, no crit, so that they don't get any, you know, Shield the Underworld shenanigans and stuff. Even if he goes for a backdoor, they can backdoor before him. You know, they're faster. Their attack speed is faster. They'll have more pen in their kit, or in their build rather. So I think ADCs really do counter Vamana, and most of the time when Mextex is winning those, it's just through outplays. You know, which is, you know, pretty significant, and you know, speaks well to his skill overall. But I think, yeah, objectively, I don't see Vamana winning those matchups. Other than that, so Osiris. Osiris I moved up because he can, while I do think ADCs beat him in the long run, some of them he has an easier time with, like, say ones that he can stick to better, like the Cupid, maybe even the Xbalanque, possibly Uller. Actually, no, probably Uller would beat him. But he can itemize very well against them, and you know, that ult providing the 100% anti-heal just does so much against their lifesteal, and just really allows him to shine in those matchups. I still think it's like 55 or 60 in their favor most of the time, but the fact that he can fight them better really does stand out, so I figured he should move up a little bit, especially because he just kind of outclasses gods like Loki, Zhang Kui, Vamana, and stuff in his other matchups. He doesn't auto-lose to mages, especially healing mages. He's a pretty good counter pick for, so yeah. What's up, guys? How you doing? So yeah, I'm streaming at the same time as doing this. It's a little weird. First time, you know, putting out a tier list video here. First time doing a video entirely for YouTube and not also for my stream. So I kind of combined them, weirdly enough. Yeah. So other than that, if anybody has any questions about, you know, about builds, about matchups, about other reasoning for the tier list, oh, I know one thing people might ask is why Mercury is still so high. This because Shield of the Underworld really cripples Mercury, right? Late game Merc gets countered so hard because he has to build into crit for his character to really shine, you know, the way that he's intended to. And if you build Shield of the Underworld, he's basically Shield of the Underworld plus Nemean reflects more damage to Mercury than he can output. So you need to basically Merc is forced to backdoor in the latest of late game, because otherwise, if he doesn't have a lead and he can't output that damage before they get Shield of the Underworld and Nemean online, you're going to lose most matchups. But the prevalence of the Mercury backdoor is just so ridiculous that he can ult from his Phoenix to yours and take the Phoenix and your Titan before like you take even half of his Phoenix. It's just so overwhelming, right? It's not a play style that I encourage or anything, but sometimes, you know, you got to go for the W, and if somebody's building entirely just to counter your god, there's nothing you can do about it. Fact is, people are going to do it, right? I'm going to do it. If I need the win as Merc, and somebody's just completely built against my character, there's nothing I can do to beat them in the 1v1, you got to go for the backdoor. That's just the way it is, dude. So, alright, other than that, like I said, if you have any questions or anything, you can follow me over at my Twitch channel. You know, ask me questions anytime I'm streaming. You follow my YouTube, please, or subscribe to it. I'm kind of new to it, but we just reached like 500 subs on YouTube. Trying to really grow the channel. Like I said, I provide more like analytical discussion of matchups and characters and things like that on my YouTube, as opposed to Twitch, where I definitely dedicate a lot of time to answering questions and things, but I also like to have a lot of fun, you know. So follow me on there if you're interested, you know, in just hanging with me or asking questions, anything of the sort. Of course, as many of you may or may not know, I got picked up as the community manager for Eager. Let me show you something real quick. Bop. So, you know, this will be, like I said, on the Eager website, and please, you know, register an account on that website. Comment on the thread for the tier list if you like anything like that, to help Eager grow. And to let us know how we're doing and things like that, you know. Any questions or concerns you have about the team or Eager the organization overall, of course you can reach me. My info is on the Eager site under team management. I've listed as the community manager there. So thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope that you continue to tune in for more videos like this, and I hope to see you on my Twitch. So love you guys, have a good one, and thank you so much for watching.